you because you're so good. So good. You're 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 faithful. You are worthy to be praised. You are a helper, our hope. You are our protection. You are our exceeding great reward. You are our shield. You are our Father. You're a Savior. You're gracious. You're merciful. You're kind. Full of tender mercy. We love you. We lift you up. Oh, thank you. Oh, sekene pala pano bakata panom panamataika. Vevreno stoda palakai. Hey, sakanono pola matata kiatana mana.
I will worship you.
The provoco sto palana. Terele Canada.
Love you forever.
Hey, sakanada provoco tono balasata. Kelenia no sono panama fradas takiata panada.
I will worship you forever.
Oh, sakata mata frados totono panada.
This God is too good.
Oh, Father and our God, thank you. Thank you for utterance this morning. Thank you for yielded vessels this morning. Thank you because you will stretch forth your hand to heal. Thank you because you're here to give direction to our spirits. Thank you because you're here to give illumination to our minds. Thank you because you're here to heal us, touch us, give us wisdom, give us the breakthroughs that we need in our lives and in our nation. Until we come this morning full of expectation that our God will reach us at the point of our needs. We do acknowledge you. We give you praise this morning. We give you praise this morning. Thank you, Father. In Jesus' name. Good morning to you all. Praise the Lord. Well, as you know, officially we've found the coronavirus in Nigeria. We prayed that it won't come, but it's here. And so we're going to be a little bit more proactive. And so from tomorrow, I'm going to be instructing my staff. We'll have disinfectants so that after every program, the chairs, the door handles, and all the parts that human beings touch will be wiped just to prevent. Can I ask you to be proactive? Am I making sense? Huh? Don't get caught up with all these masks and people trying to sell you gels at expensive prices, some basic health care things. So I'm going to instruct we're going to buy loads of disinfectants, and then every time a service is over, a program is over, they'll wipe all the chairs, wipe the door handles, the doors, the toilet seats, and everything that has to do with people. Can I say you should do the same thing in your house so that if anybody brings in anything, at least by the time they leave and come back, the place will be disinfected. So let's be more proactive in what we're doing. And then, of course, let's keep lifting up this country in prayer. Our government has done very well by going ahead of the matter and making the announcements that they need to make, but that's the ones they know. And it's important that we all become proactive and be careful what you share. Don't be somebody who's spreading alarmists, or somebody just shared something on social media this morning that China says it's out of control and that they can't do anything anymore. But that's typically rumor mongering and fake news. And it's very sad that our country has become like that. Yesterday, you also heard about the fact that the supposed driver of the man that was taken to Wekoro was claiming that he wanted 100 million naira, else he will infect the whole country. Only to find out that he wasn't even the guy, and the guy is in Benin. So I really want to beg you not to be one of those people who's quick to share stuff. Amen? Amen? Don't look, the Bible has already told you the things that should come out of your mouth, it has certain qualities that should come out of it. Don't join the bandwagon. If you have good news about how to prevent yourself, whatever what we're saying will disinfect everywhere, every day, especially after an event, to make sure that people don't get infected by other people. It's just a simple precaution. Does that make sense? Anything that's going to be positive and contribute to it, let's be part of that. Amen? We're shifting this month. We said don't compete. So if you're not supposed to compete, what are you supposed to do? And so what I want to start off with this morning, I have some PowerPoints I want to share with you. But there's a gentleman, a young man named Vusi Thembawayo. He's a uniquely gifted African who's well educated, very articulate, and knows what he's talking about. And I want to say he also has a program in a fund called My Growth Fund. I wonder why we've not been able to drag him to this country to bring some of his funds here. But let's listen to him this morning for a few minutes, and then I'll come back and tell you how I'm tying all this together. But we have to. You say, what if we're not going to compete? What are we supposed to do? Now, you won't hear exactly the same concept. But let's first play the one from Blue Ocean Shift first, the 2-minute one on Blue Ocean Shift first, and then we'll now play Vusi. All right? Okay, I'll play. You're already ready. Okay, just play it so that we won't go and start fasting and praying afterwards.
Don't. Is it something they know? Is it how they run their businesses? Is it the people they hire? Is it where they went to school? Is it their socialization, their background, their education, their mental spaces? What is it that makes the entrepreneur succeed? Welcome to my masterclasses, where I share with you everything you need to know about how to become a high-growth, high-scale entrepreneur. I'm joined by guests. We break down the myths, the ideas, the legends, everything you need to know to become a high-growth entrepreneur. Warning, this is the High Performance Zone. There are 3 rules to every single masterclass, and I think let's get those rules straight out of the game so that we can get started. Rule number 1, leave our egos at the door. Rule number 2, no such thing as a stupid question. And then the third rule for me is probably the most important. Have fun. Is that okay? Guys, quickly in terms of how this goes, the format of this is I don't offer stuff up front. We start by asking questions. So what happens now is I keep quiet, and somebody here has to start us off with a question. Merci beaucoup. Merci. Somebody has to start us off with a question. The question could be whatever. It could be about your business. It could be about a challenge you're facing. It could be about the stage you're at. It could be about what you're running. The question can be anything. Anybody, start us off with a question. I'll start with you, sir, at the back with the mustard. Very, very nice jersey, by the way. Requires a lot of courage to wear that kind of color. Go for it, sir.
Hi, Vincent.
Yo.
I'm Willie. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, man.
Number 1. So I have sort of like a big picture question, and I don't know if it really helps, but it's just me thinking idealistically. So in your book on page 58, you talk about context and how the retailers are responding to the social economic context.
Yeah.
And the like. What do you think small businesses, entrepreneurs, and idealists overall could be doing to create shared value in a way which not just sustains them as far as the business model is concerned, but somehow is meeting a social social ill.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
sort of that meeting of
Yeah.
the two worlds to have something scalable long term.
It's a great question. It's a great question, and I don't have the answer for it. Oh, by the way, another thing about me is if I don't know, I'll say, I don't know. I don't have the answer for it, but I can offer this as a thought, right? I worry about how many of us are making apps. I think there are too many of us making apps, guys. I think too many of us watch Netflix. And so sometimes you kind of forget that this is not Manhattan. And so what we're doing is we're solving first world problems, but you live in a third world context. You know, let me just expand on this. I wonder if you guys have thought about this, but a part of South Africa's challenge in my mind is that the systems are architectured using first world architecture, but 80% of the population lives in the third world. That's why we come from where we come from to work where we work and then go back to where we come from. You know, you go into any township in a weekday after 5 o'clock and the smog is pretty clear. You can see the smog. Everybody uses coal-fired stoves. But people are talking about renewable energy. And our government is spending money financing renewable energy when our people are living in a third world construct. Do you know what I mean? There's a kid right now somewhere writing an app about dating, but the road he lives in has potholes. Sometimes I think we just got to fix the problems of where we are, not the problems of where we wished we were. So to your point about context, I tell you who's fantastic at this, and you guys are not going to like the answer. Afrikaners, boy. Afrikaners are good at living in the reality they're in and solving problems for the reality they have. You know, that's kind of why they created Oranje. Not all of them. I don't want to be all inclusive. You know, but for me, ShopRite is Afrikaner owned, right? Pepco, Afrikaner owned. Don't know if you guys know. Do you guys know that Pepco is the largest retailer of airtime in South Africa? Larger even than Blue Telecoms, Blue Label. Pepco is the largest retailer of nappies in the African continent. Pepco sells, true story, Pepco sells more t-shirts per hour than BMW sells cars per year. That's Pepco. But, so you go and check what the executives of Pepco earn. Yet when I mention it, Siyabahleka. Aye, Pep. Where the money is not always where the ego is, man. You know, that's why we build apps, because I have an app. You know, and you can hit us with your English, right? I got the app. No, but what problem are you solving? Like, actually, what is the problem that you're solving? Because one, you know, the rules of scale are very simple. They weren't written by me. Everybody knows them. The first rule of scale is solve a problem that's a big problem. The second rule of scale is make sure you know how to distribute the solution to the problem, distribution. The third rule of scale is make sure you know how to collect your money. That's it. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you guys, so let me share this with you. This is, when we, in the firm, this is kind of how we know when entrepreneurs are doing this for the first time, or if they've been here before. You look at where the entrepreneur is placing emphasis in terms of how they're building their business. I'm going to share this with you guys up front. So, first-time entrepreneurs focus on product. So when they pitch their business, they'll tell you all about the product, the thing, how it works. They get really obsessed with the architecture of the product. Yeah? Anytime you're focusing on product differentiation, I can tell you're a first-time entrepreneur. Because you genuinely believe the customers will buy you because the product is superior. Many of us here are wearing goods that are not superior to any other good. Yeah? We use stuff every time that's not necessarily superior to any other thing. But there's a huge focus on product. First-time entrepreneurs usually focus on product because that's what turns you on. You know, you like to sit in the room and tinker and fix it. So what you do when business doesn't go well is rather than fix the business, what do you fix? The product. There's nothing wrong with the product. We have this expression in the firm, I call it a DOD. It's a definition of done. So when we start a project, we go, what's the definition of done? Not the definition of perfect. The definition of done. Perfect is the enemy of good enough. Doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough. Yeah? Because what happens between good enough and perfect is every amount of money that you invest is simply a premium you're paying that you're not going to earn back from the customer. So good enough is good enough. Like, it's fine. It works. It does the job. Sell it now. Yeah? So first-time entrepreneurs notoriously focus on product. Second-time entrepreneurs, and this is the conversation we're having, focus on this. Because the guy, when the business failed his first time, figured that the reason the business failed wasn't because the product was not good quality. It was because nobody could buy it. Any of you here who are in like a retail business or a product business know exactly what I'm talking about. You can make them. If people can't buy them, it doesn't matter. Yeah? So distribution is the game. The most valuable companies in the world, guys, are not product companies. They're not brand companies. They're distribution companies. Amazon is a distribution business. I saw a graph done by, what's his name? Asian fellow. He runs a really good guy, runs a VC firm in Silicon Valley. He sent, in our WhatsApp group, he sent out a graph. I saw it this morning. And they've just finished doing research. And according to that research, Amazon today has a more sophisticated logistics network than UPS, FedEx, and the Postal Service. So the value of Amazon is linked directly to the growth in the logistics network of Amazon. I want you to consider this. There's some of us here who've bought stuff on Amazon who come from places where that stuff was delivered and the founder of Amazon doesn't even know that place exists. So what did he fix? He fixed the distribution problem. Often the challenge you're facing is just distribution. And it's not just distribution of product, right? Sometimes it's distribution of ideas. Those of you especially who work in the knowledge economy, it's just your ideas have not been widely accepted. So if you can distribute your ideas, people will buy. 10 years ago, nobody was talking land. Now we're all talking land. That's an idea distributed. And some of us are talking it, not even having really studied it, and are accepting it as a means. Like, no, we need it. Because another thing that happens when you get your ideas really well distributed is you get what is called benefit of doubt. Sometimes you can say stuff and not have to prove it. It just becomes true. Nike releases a product and tells you it is the best. You trust them. Why? Because it's Nike. They don't have to prove it's the best. Yeah, they've proven enough times the stuff they say that everything they say you take to be true until proven otherwise. Yeah? So distribution is huge. Anyone know what is the most valuable and most recognized brand in the world? Yes, sir? Coca-Cola. Dead right. True story. All over the world, no matter where in the world you go, if you say the word Coca-Cola, people know what you're talking about. Yeah? Do you know what's the second? Nelson Mandela. Fact. Yeah. Yeah, Nelson Mandela. And then third are the words mama. Did you know that? No matter where in the world, yeah. Mama is third to Nelson. Try that, right? Because Chinese people don't say mama. Yeah? So the second is distribution, right? The third is value chain. Third-time entrepreneurs focus on value chain. We've spent a lot of time in a couple of past masterclasses doing work on value chain. Like, how do you build a value chain? And somebody has the question here, and I'll try to answer it. But I'm today building my business. I'm trying to build this thing. Yeah? If you get the value chain of your business right, they can't catch you. They can hate, but they can't catch. You know, value chain is everything. So when you go to the store and you buy printing paper, see if I can explain this. When you go to the store and you buy printing paper, you are right at the bottom of probably what is like 100,000 steps in the Nampak value chain. Because it's like this. You're here. You buy a box of printing paper for your company. But for Nampak to make the printing paper available, they've got a manufacturing facility somewhere that gets huge volumes of paper and it cuts it into A4, A3, A1 printing paper. So they've got a factory somewhere with a factory manager who runs it that employs a couple of thousand people. Yeah? So think about this as the retail where you buy. Think about this as the wholesale. But God didn't invent paper. He gave us trees. So there's a process of taking it from the tree to the paper. You get it? Nampak's value chain is that process. That's why today, if you wanted to start a print paper company, you can't do it. Follow me. So the factory does wholesale. But before that, there's something that happens here, which is a massive industrial plant somewhere. Yeah? And in this industrial plant, they turn the pulp into paper. Before that, there's literally a forest somewhere with trees where they turn the tree into the pulp, which goes pulp into the paper into the thing you buy. Right? Right. So then your government says, we need 100 black industrialists. Serious? Yeah. Like, how did we get to 100? Why not 50? Why not 101? Why 100? So anyway, they say this, right? And then what happens is a government department somewhere pushes out a tender, and it says, we are Department of Education. We need 5 years supplied. This doesn't work. We need 5 years supplied worth of printing paper. To get that contract, you need to be 100% black-owned business, and then a whole host of other things, yeah? So you put up the tender document, you register your CC, you get your tax clearance, your bank account, you write your profile, you do a 3-page website, about us, contact details, other, right? So you do the whole process. You go through, you got the whole thing. And then what happens is you get the 5-year tender to supply paper. Where are you going to buy it from? Exactly. That's why 25 years into what is supposed to be a transformation, you have transformed fuck all. Because you guys keep giving opportunities at retail, you're not transforming the value chain. So you don't change the value chain, nothing changes. I can give you right now, the Department of Gauteng can give you a tender on banking services. And you can win it. You literally win it. They give you a tender for banking services, and they give it to you. Do you have a bank? Manje? So when you get the tender, where are you going? You're going to go to FNB, ABSA, and then you're going to go, guys, I've got this tender, help. Now here's what you guys, this is the genius of this. Like when I learned this, I was like, here's the genius of this. Here's the genius of this. So this whole value chain is built this way. Yeah? We think money is in retail. There's no money in retail. Why? Because retail is volume-based and price-sensitive. The first thing the customer says is, can I get it cheaper? Why is it so expensive? So if there's no money in retail, then where's the money? It's further up the value chain. See, because if I buy the fields where I plant the trees, then I plant the trees, which means today, the trees I'm cutting down, I planted 20 years ago. Just so we're clear. That's what we call long-term planning. That thing they've been doing at SAA, but they do it every year. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Sorry. Yeah? So they planted 20 years ago. Gave the tree 20 years to grow. Now the tree's grown, I cut the tree down. Then I take the tree and I turn the tree into pulp. I take the pulp, I turn the pulp into paper. All of these are in my balance sheet. I own these businesses. Which means if it costs me, this is so important that you follow, 1 rand to plant a tree every year for 20 years. At the end of 20 years, the cost of producing a tree is 20 rand. But I own the factory that takes the tree and turns it into pulp. So I sell this tree to the factory for 20 rand. I don't have to make a profit. I just got to break even. Yeah? The factory takes it and turns it from that. They go through a chemical process. They beneficiate it. They turn it from pulp into paper. Then they sell it to, and by the way, there's like 1,000 other steps here. I'm skipping. This is a very simplified model. But then they sell it down here, and they go, well, we need to make a little bit of money. It's a little bit. So what we're going to do, we're going to sell it for 25 bucks. And that 5 rand is the additional value add of turning it from pulp into paper. By the time you go to the store, they sell it here for 100 rand. Then you go, it's expensive. Data must fall. Yeah? So, but we think for the price to go down, create competition. Yeah. Yeah. Because you see, when they give you that tender, yeah, you have to buy from them because you don't have these facilities. But let's imagine that you did. Let's actually imagine that you went up here and created a wholesale business. Let's imagine that you did. Let's just imagine that you did. Even if you built a wholesale business, where are you going to get the land from to plant the trees? And if you got that, who's going to give you 20 years of working capital to keep planting trees without making a cent? And let's say you got that. Then who's going to give you 1 billion rand to build a factory so that you can turn the tree into pulp? Let's say you got that too. Where are you going to get the people? How are you going to hire them? Do you understand? This entire system is built over 100 years. You can't just do this overnight. Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, man, jump in. Go for it.
So if let's say that they didn't give that guy the tender,
Yeah,
took it straight to the company,
yeah.
how do you think it would add value?
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. It wouldn't. I'm not saying that that's what they should do. I'm just saying the transformation doesn't happen here. It happens up here.
Okay.
And I'm not being literal about the land question. I'm just saying when you transform, all transformed economies transform at source. You got to go, what's the source? You want to transform banking? Stop selling shares to black people in banks. Create banks. Like, give out more banking licenses. And that's just this. I was in Tanzania yesterday. They got 39 banks there, man. 39 banks. They got a middle class that's like 10% the size of ours. So when South Africans tell you, well, there's no space for a bank, bullshit. There is space for a bank. The reason you can't create a bank is because the banking regulations are written using first world principles and you live in a third world country.
The question is then, what should we think, or at what level should we think as tech entrepreneurs to effectively play in a disruptive space that's really solving real issues for the South African context, and as well as, being in a place where we're so disruptive that we get your big, firms buying us and large stakes, right?
Yeah.
Because we are disrupting their business models, disrupting, their value chains essentially.
Cool, man.
I tell you why I played this video. I actually played it for us to know how much we don't know. I actually played it to let us know how much we don't understand business. And I'm not going to spend this morning explaining it. We have a whole month that we're going to be looking at this concept. But I'll tell you my first experience of this. I'm in Redeemed Christian Church of God. I'm designing a podium for the Holy Ghost Congress. And so I made this podium out of wood. I think they're still using it till today. I designed it, I built it, I set it up. There's a lady, I think her company is called Simbabe. So I made a wooden podium. Simbabe she imported plastic podiums and columns. I made wooden columns because I like using natural stuff. She imported hers from China, and then she would put it beside mine. And it used to upset me because, I kind of don't like. I don't know. Just me. Nothing. She wasn't doing anything wrong. So we fought a few times because I couldn't understand why we should contrast. But we became like colleagues in the profession. Then I realized something about Simbabe. Simbabe was a huge importer of balloons, of those columns, of decorations. And then Simbabe will go and, if there was a contract out, for the government was doing a program, they were trying to do a party, somebody's trying to do a wedding or a reception. Simbabe will go and compete with you there. She will bid like you will bid. So let's say you bid 500,000, Simbabe will bid 450,000. Somehow she doesn't get the job. You get it for 500,000. You know what happens? That eventually you will still go to Simbabe in Lagos to buy the balloons, to buy the, you know what I mean? You see, because we haven't understood the value chain. And we haven't understood the concept of innovating or creating things. We keep looking at this concept of buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling, and it adds no value to our country. And so we're struggling. Maybe next week we'll go into a little more details, but let me share this with you, just to give you an idea of where I'm going. And I'll try and explain it a little bit. All right? One of the reasons why I decided this year that we were going to shift from all the conferences we've gone into innovation was because I realized something very critical, that innovation is not taught anywhere in Nigeria. Not taught in primary school, it's not taught in secondary school, it's not taught in university, it's not taught anywhere. If you are an innovator by any chance, it must be your parents or some sort of exposure that you had in your life. And so I realized something was fundamentally wrong. And when I read the book by Fosa Ojomo and Clay Christensen, I realized that the way out of our problems in this nation would require innovation. And many of you heard last week how 2 weeks ago, was it last week, when Mr. Makonjala began to explain to us that innovation didn't require us to be super scientific. We didn't need to come up with anything. We needed to look at what customers were complaining about and fix. And we tend not to do that. And so we came up with this platform called Innovation Kitchen, and we called it an innovation ecosystem, using creativity to solve challenging problems, creating new markets, products, and services. Its focus is to bring awareness to the impact of innovation on the nation and democratize access to innovation, knowledge, skills, and training. That's what we want to do. We want people to have access. And I want to show you a chain of where we're going to go. I want to show you some things. You see, one of the biggest problems we're facing as people is that we fail to understand that 80% or 90% of Nigerians are ignored in any products or services that are being provided in this country. A few weeks ago, Ms. Ifatoreti spoke to us about this little company that came out and began to do savings for the general public. Now they've raised more money and they're reaching more people than any of the banks are reaching because they simply realized that they were Nigerians who had needs. I want to give you some examples. What do all these companies have in common? How many of you have ever seen this one before? How many of you have ever used Canva? How many of you have ever used Canva? Good. What happened before Canva? You wanted to design something, you had to go and look for a graphic artist outside, Abi. He would give you wahala. You won't like your logo. You won't like the way he designed it. You won't like the way it's assembled. You will ask him to change it. He will give you wahala. Am I making sense? And then at the end of the day, you don't like the colors. He will still be troublesome. What did Canva do? Canva just reduced everything to basic steps. In other words, they democratized access so much that a child can even do his own design. And an experienced person can do his own design. Am I right? Many graphic artists are out of business today. I have an aburo in Lagos who's an excellent graphic designer. He's had to move away from graphic designs because he can't. Who's going to give him a job? You want to charge me 200,000 naira to design my logo for what? But these people saw a market and decided that everybody should be able to do it. What are the needs in this country that people should easily get? That's understanding the entire system. What about this one? Google. Those days, you want to do any research, you have to go and look for somebody in UI. Am I right? To help you. Pay the person a consultancy fee. Can I do some research on this today? Today, what do? You Google it. How many of you have heard of YouTube University? It's called the University of YouTube. Anything you want to learn, you can go on YouTube, download a few videos, and you've learned about it. Meanwhile, some of the quality of what they put on YouTube is better than many lecturers in this country. Because somebody decided that everybody, Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible. When are you going to make your products and your services universally accessible? And we're struggling. Because we're ignoring the largest marketplace that we have. Look at this one. Facebook. You know, one of the things I found out about Facebook, and I'll share when we'll get into towards the end, is that all those feelings you had of taking a picture on your birthday and showing it off, all those pictures of showing yourself eating rice or entering into a plane, all those feelings that you couldn't express, finally, somebody has given you a platform to share it with the world, and we've gone mad. Am I right? But it means that inherent in all of us is a desire to be recognized. And Facebook just feeds that need. And it does it how much? How much? How much do you pay? How much do you pay? I didn't hear. Every picture, 200 naira. Every pose, 500 naira. Nobody will be on Facebook. But guess what? You can even take a picture of yourself in the toilet and put it on Facebook. Because it doesn't cost you anything. Am I right? Look at the official mission statement. To give people, who? People, everybody, the power to build community and bring the world, what? Closer together. All right? A social network connecting people with friends across the globe. That's very daring. Let's look at another one. Instagram. Do you know how many photographers went out of business because of Instagram? How many of you go to studio to take photographs? How many of you go to studio to take photographs? Not only can you take the photograph, you can send it anywhere in the world without printing. What is the mission statement? We are building Instagram to allow you, which is everybody, to experience moments in your friend's life through pictures as they happen. Am I making any sense to anybody at all this morning? I know these are foreign companies, but when you make your own here, we'll follow it. All right? Alibaba story. You know, I was watching an interview of Alibaba. Somebody said, is your competition Amazon? He says, Amazon is an e-commerce company. We are not. Huh? He says, no. He says, we're not. He says, we aim to build future infrastructure of commerce. We envision that our customers will work and live at Alibaba, and that company will last 102 years. They don't, Alibaba is not an e-commerce firm. They simply help you to turn your company into an e-commerce firm. Amazon is an e-commerce firm. They're a logistic firm. What are they trying to do? Make everybody, and one of the greatest criticisms you have about Alibaba is the fact that there's a lot of fake products. Am I right? A lot of fake. Abi? That's because they've democratized access. Both thieves and honest people can go on. It's something with all the Jumia and Konga stuff. I remember a few days ago, I was talking to Kunle, and Kunle was telling me that, look, now it's now personal e-commerce. No more, I need a platform. And Alibaba saw this coming a long time ago. Because Jumia is failing. And the reason why they're failing is their business model. It is not suited for Africa. It's not, as a matter of fact, the cost, I think Jumia is suffering from a huge cost of lack of infrastructure in the country. You know what I mean? That making all their costs go up. Good idea, but doesn't work in Africa. As a matter of fact, the way Amazon and some of these companies work in some other African countries is totally different from the way Jumia works. The people who deliver are agents, but they work directly with the company. And they develop their own reputation so that you order through them. Am I making sense? So it's a totally different ball game. But they are look at these guys. They said, enabling millions of commercial and social interactions every day, empowering our customers with data and infrastructure to build and manage their businesses, to become central to everyday lives of our customers. But you still want to sell that thing you bought in Dubai with a 20-30% naira profit and sell it to somebody else. That's the extent of your vision. Okay? So what did they do? They've democratized access for everyone. Let's go a little bit further. Canva helps you to design. Whether you went to school or not, you can design. Google helps you to do research without paying. Facebook helps you to take selfies, your school graduation, your photographs, you put it up. Instagram helps you to become famous and show off your fashion, while LinkedIn has replaced consultancy and recruitment, isn't it? One of the fastest growing platforms in the world, most of you don't know this, is LinkedIn. One of the fastest growing right now. As a matter of fact, people will recruit you on LinkedIn. You know what I mean? You don't. They will find you on LinkedIn. Most of you who are professionals are not even there. Because you use LinkedIn that you use Facebook. On LinkedIn, you don't go about taking selfies. On LinkedIn, you write papers, you present ideas, you present concepts, you talk about efficiency, you talk about how you apply productivity, you talk about things that when a company wants to recruit, they will find you on LinkedIn. They don't need to go far. How many of you know Jobama? Put an advert on Jobama. See how many people will apply. Just put an advert. We're looking for a manager for new streams. I promise you 10,000 applications will come in. 10,000 in this country will come in that day. Some of them won't even read the advert. It's automated. Immediately you put an advert, they automatically apply for it. Because there are no jobs in Nigeria. But they've democratized access. Let's go on. It used to be the Robin Hood paradigm that we used to run our businesses, where you get from the rich and help the poor. But people like Henry Ford came back and said, no, let's empower the poor. Let's give them access. Let's create products that they want. Let's create products that they can work to create and therefore earn money and improve their lives. And then Singer, sewing machine. Most of you don't know that Singer didn't design the sewing machine, but he mass produced it to bring down the cost so that everybody could have access to a sewing machine. Those days, it used to take you 2 days to sew an outfit if you were sewing by hand. So he democratized it and made it faster. Not only did he make it faster, he made it in such a way that you could collect a Singer sewing machine on credit, even in Nigeria. Most of you don't remember this. Most of you won't remember this. In the 60s and in the 70s, you could go to Singer office here in Ibadan or Singer office in Lagos and deposit 25 naira, and they will give you a Singer machine, and every month you'll be bringing 5 naira, 5 pounds. In this country, in this city that we're living in. So everybody could now have access to machines. And because they had access to machines, clothes were produced faster. The fashion industry grew. People were opening supermarkets and departmental stores. And then the price of making clothes automatically did what? Fell. An economy is not made by taking from the poor or taking from the rich and giving to the poor. If we don't change, we're going to be stuck. All right? Now, I wrote this is just personal for me. While I accept the criticism of this particular ministry style, and I also accept the criticism that is being put against this country right now. Everybody's blaming Buhari for everything, even for things he didn't do. Well, that's understandable because we are human beings and we always need somebody to blame. But this is the problem I have. I notice that the people who are criticizing and complaining don't have a better agenda for anybody. Their own agenda is about themselves. And so what's happening is this. It's like somebody saying, I want to buy a first-class seat on Titanic. You are going to die whether you are rich or poor on the Titanic. And what is wrong with us is that everybody is so focused on surviving, looking after themselves. Some of us, the reason why we don't like certain government policies is not because they're not good, it's because they're taking something out of our hands. And so anybody else who comes up doesn't have a better agenda for the crowd, for the masses. He doesn't care. All he wants to do is survive. So he wants to reverse certain policies in order for his own business to prosper. Okay, 7.5% VAT. I don't like it. It has increased my cost. It's making things more difficult for me. I normally pay the VAT out of my pocket because I didn't want to trouble my clients. So they start calculating VAT, and so we just rounded it up and then we pay it. Immediately you pay us, we take 7.75% out and we go and pay the government. Now, looking at it, it's affecting everything we're doing because its cost of everything has gone up. Not only by the time we take out 7.5%, we're losing money badly. And so we've had to make that adjustment. But the real question is, people don't pay tax. That's the only way in this country anybody pays tax in this country. And the government knows it. And there's no money coming in from oil. Now, how they manage it, that's a totally different kettle of fish. We want to protect ourselves and not everybody else's interest. Even the church does the same thing. Let me give you an example. Have you noticed that our training programs, when somebody says, I want you to come for a training, he tells you that that training is going to cost 10,000 naira or 5,000 naira. What does he do? He secures his profit up front. Am I right? Talk to me now. As long as you pay him the 10,000 naira, he has made his money. Now, he really doesn't care whether that training blesses you or not. He doesn't really care whether you make any progress with the training. Am I lying? He doesn't care. He doesn't care. The people who have the courage to tell you, come for our training free of charge and we will make our money from you later, are people who know their onions, who know that what they are delivering will work. Most people don't. It's theory. So they make their money. There was a young man who came from Lagos. What's her name? She was working with me before. She went to train on making shoes. She came back. She tried to do a few seminars here. They didn't work. She started making shoes. Nobody was buying it. So she now decided to be training people to make shoes. Then she brings the expert from Lagos who taught her how to make shoes to come and meet me. That they want to use this place to make shoes. They're going to be charging 5,000 naira per person. So I looked at her and I said, how much profit have you made? She said, nothing. I said, then you want to teach 1,000 other people how not to make profit? All you want to do is collect their 5,000 naira and then run away. And you've forgotten that when people come to you like that, you mess them up. They will tell 100 people how bad you are. Something is wrong with us. Have you noticed when we go for weddings? Have you noticed what we do? You didn't buy the rice, so. Pastor Smith, it's not your rice. You didn't pay for it. You went for a wedding. The caterer comes and brings rice. You take your own first. Then you now tell the caterer, what about my wife? Go and bring rice for her. What should you do? Give the rice to your wife. If you don't get any rice, are you worse off? No, but you want to secure your own first. That's what is wrong with us. Rice you didn't pay for. If you can do that with rice you didn't pay for, what do you think they're doing with the national cake? What do you think they're doing with all the money that is available right now? They did a program here, what they call it, this You Win. Immediately after the You Win program, the guys who were giving out, who came to lecture started talking to the boys who they brought and said, we'll help you write your proposal. If you will give us 25% of the money that you win, we'll give you. And I'm like, are you mad? Are you mad? The guy hasn't made a penny. You're already taking 25% off his capital. You didn't say, we will help you write it. We will help you grow your business. Give us 20% of the profit. You didn't say that. Of course, he doesn't trust the Nigerian to give him 20% of the profit. Anyway, that's another big problem on another side. We need to be more proactive. This is where I'm going this morning. Imagine democratizing access of Nigerians to great health care, to food, to vehicles, to drugs. Imagine creating jobs, encouraging businesses to think long term. Imagine that. Let's look at it. What do you have? What skills do you have? What products are you making? What are you good at? Then what does the customer want? Do you know why Infinix and Techno outsell Samsung and iPhone? They're not better phones. They're actually not that good phones. But you know why? They make the poor man, the average man on the street, feel proud to have an Android phone. They know it won't last more than 2 years. I have a Samsung that I've been trying to kill. The thing is like 7 years old, it won't die. It just will keep working. You know, I want to throw it away, but I can't throw it away because it's working. And I'm like, what kind of phone is this? Don't you die? But Techno will die, and then you go and resurrect it at Mokola. And then it will die again. They know. They use cheap products. They use cost-effective products. But the people who own it for 2 years are happier. You know, many years ago, they were giving mosquito nets that were treated with chemicals to people. And they were giving them money to buy protein, to improve their diet at home. Add protein to your diet at home, buy fish, buy meat and all that. They gave this village as an experiment. United Nations gave them as an experiment to go and buy protein, buy fixed mosquito net, clean your gutter, do all this. They came back and found flat screen televisions in their house. And then they went to them and said, we said you should give us, we wanted your life to be better. We wanted you to live. We too want to enjoy TV. What makes you think you're the only one who's privileged to do that? Everybody wants the good things of life. So when you think about a product you can make that will improve and make people's lives happy, the masses will rush at it. Am I making sense? Because they want it. They need it. Now, what would you give up to pay for that? We have to listen. I read this somebody said this, it was Jack Ma. Jack Ma said, when he went to Israel to open a particular innovation center, he said this. He said, in Israel, they innovate because they have to survive. Can I tell you something? Nigeria, we have to start innovating in order to survive. Listen to me. We don't have the technology. We don't have the resources. Yesterday, somebody went to a shop in Lagos and picked hand sanitizer in order to be able to, he heard about coronavirus, so he went into the shop. And many of us, when we swipe our cards, we don't really check. So he gets home, takes the hand sanitizer, they machine it for him. He gets home and he gets a text message, 15,000 naira for hand sanitizer. And so he gets very angry and then he rushes back to the shop. I said, are you mad? Hand sanitizer we're buying for 1,000. I said that's because of coronavirus. You see, that's all Nigerians know how to make money out of, is by cheating people. What about saying, how can I come up with a 500 naira sanitizer that everybody can buy? So I will go and buy I will buy my sanitizer in drums. Then I will go and buy small containers. You know what I mean? And I will take it so that everybody can afford to pay 500 naira and give it to their kids to go to school. Can you imagine how many hand sanitizers he will sell? Now he's made maybe 15,000 naira from the hand sanitizer, but he only has one. And that's the end of his profit. And then the minute somebody else is selling it for 10, you and I will move from that 15,000 to the 10. Am I right? The minute somebody else is doing 7.5, we will move from that 7.5. But the person who is giving it out for 500 and is telling you this thing is genuine, you know what I mean? It's because we want it to reach the masses. You know how many hundreds of thousands of sanitizers he would have made? We have to innovate in order to get out of this mess we're in. And I'll tell you what, this morning I was coming and I said, Lord, I don't have a single Christian slide on this slide. Have you noticed? No scripture. And I'm supposed to be a pastor, Abi. Huh? But Jesus said, for this cause came I into this world. He says, I came to give my life as a ransom for who? For many. What are you here for? Do you know that some of us are just here to make a solution that long after we've gone, people are enjoying the benefits of what we did? Steve Jobs is dead. We're still talking about. Do you know if you actually took the components of an iPad, and you put it together by itself, you'll be paying close to $10,000 per iPad. But they said, listen, yeah, we know an iPad is $10,000, but what if we can sell 25 million? Manufacturer said, yeah, then we can bring down the price. That's why we can afford to use smartphones. Not because, most of the phones we are using right now, they didn't even have it in James Bond movies. Yet we used to look at those things and wonder, an electric, some of you need to sit in a Tesla to show you how far these guys have gone. There was a guy he had a heart attack in his car. He pressed a button in his car, telling the car to take him to the hospital, and the car drove him to the hospital while he was dying on the steering. That's James Bond. It's now available to all of us. Well, those of you who have $200,000 for a car. I don't know if I'm making any sense to anybody this morning, but we need to get out of competition and start saying, because you are a child of the Creator, what can I create? What are the pain points people are going through? What are the pain points people are going through right now? Everybody is scared about the coronavirus. They're buying masks. They're getting them off the shelf. Somebody else is thinking how he's going to cheat. But somebody else can come up with a simpler solution. Yesterday, I found one online where a lady used tissue to make a mask. Those are not just hand napkins. She took it, she folded it, she put a paper at the end, used the clip, put a rubber, and white. And that was it. Free face mask. How many schools can you supply that to? That the children will make their own masks and you will be a blessing. But no, you want to go and say, that school, they have money on. The mask should be $2.5. That's the way we think. But we don't say, what can we do? We have to start making. As a matter of fact, Dr. Mario wrote a paper a few days ago and said, Nigerian tailors should start making masks. But it's not part of anybody's agenda. Cheap, affordable masks. And by the way, the droplets in coronavirus, they are so small that they will pass through the mask. So please stop fooling yourself. They are micro droplets. They're not no mask. The reason why people put on masks is to stop the droplets from their mouth from spreading to other people. And then for those people who are treating people, to stop whenever they sneeze or cough out blood from entering into the mouth and nose of the doctors. So the mask has even limited use. And when it is wet, it's gone. It's already infected. So you have to replace it. So who wants to buy 1,500 masks every day? Let's bow our heads. Pastor, who's closer? You are. It's part of everything I've said. I believe that innovation is going to open our country up. Because once we can innovate for Nigeria, believe me, the rest of Africa will come running at our doorsteps. Products and services for the masses. Democratizing access. What was one? I remember those days when the first mobile phone came. The rental, I think it was like 50,000 naira a month. Rental, not owning. No. Remember those phones with the long thing? It was 50,000 a month renting. So only, I don't remember when the phones first came out. SIM card was 17,500 naira. Phone was 23,000. SIM was 17,000. Now SIM is free. I went to a shop a few days ago. I said I wanted to buy a phone for my mother. They brought out the phone. They said it was 9,000. I said, there's a 9,000 naira phone? 7,000 naira phone? What did they use it for? 6,000 naira phone? I was looking at the phone. But that's what happens. Access. So that everybody can get a phone. Isn't it cheaper for you to call your mother in the village with a 9,000 naira phone than traveling all the way to the village to find out that she's sick? Won't you buy it? And now you can recharge your mother's phone from anywhere. You don't need to send her money. As a matter of fact, you can send her money on the phone. Send her credit and she will send it to somebody else. It's cash. Without ATM. I pray that Miles Monroe used to say that the grave is the most valuable place on the earth because ideas have gone to die. Books are unwritten, products and services are unwritten. And I like his poster over here where we wrote what he said the most. He says, and if you check the amount of materials that Mars has online, you won't believe somebody did that in a lifetime. Or the number of books he wrote. He says, die empty. My prayer for you is that you will die empty. That everything God has planted in you, every potential, every hope, every need, every design, every concept, every creative idea, every ability to improve the lives of people that God has planted in you will not follow you to the grave. You will, in this lifetime and even now, begin to give birth to the things God has put in you for such a time as this. But you're not going to die with these ideas in you. No, don't say I have no money, nobody to help me. No, God is your helper. God is your helper. God is your helper. God is your helper. And he will help you. And he will help me. That Lord, we will begin to bring forth products and services that will transform the lives of people. For this cause was I born. I came that I might give my life as a ransom for many. Thank you, Lord Jesus.
Can we package our tithes and offering? It's quite a thoughtful message for us this morning to reflect and to think upon.
The Bridge Network.
The Bridge Network. Experience the kingdom.